Hello everybody, my name is Tina Chaudhry. I'm an executive in the supply chain industry, but I'm also a Vedic astrologer. I talk about how we can make some small changes or some big changes in our daily lives that can create such a positive impact on us and our families and our environment. Hello everybody, and a very warm namaste. The baby boomer generation has either already become grandparents or will soon become grandparents. And they've already made decisions and have met with their lawyers, estate planners, and financial advisors on inheritance regarding their material wealth. Who gets what, how much do they get, and when do they get? It's a very important task, and it must be done on a timely basis. So that's good that if you've done that. But what about the inheritance of family traditions, cultural background, personal experiences, and family history? Has anybody, or have you, ever thought about the fact that your future generations, your grandchildren, may never know what you've experienced or what your family or your culture or your background has experienced or been through after you are gone? Will your grandchildren and future generations ever know what you did for a profession, where you lived, where you went to school, and your personal experiences? If you're one of the immigrant families and you moved from another country, will they ever know what you went through and what your original heritage and your culture was? Will they ever know that? Will your grandchildren and future generation ever know how you came to whatever country you reside at now and what your personal experience was? Don't you think that that is important information that they might want to know and love to know about when they become adults? Have you ever thought about that? About how they would miss out on all this information? In this day and age, when adults are delaying the decision to have children, the joy of grandparenthood comes very late in life. And sadly, the grandparents may leave or exit when the grandchildren are very young in age, and hence the time that the grandparent and the grandchildren are spending together may be for a very short time in the grandchild's life. They may never know or talk about your experiences with you. Today I'm going to talk about an idea or a hack that actually accomplishes this. It also has other multiple benefits, but you need to watch my video till the end to learn what the other benefits may be. What is that idea or hack? Well, it's really quite simple. All you need to do is take just a very beautiful notebook, any notebook that you like, go to the store, take some time to pick it out, take one that you like and that speaks to you. Make sure that one that you pick has strong pages and not very weak pages. And it's really quite simple. All you do is you start writing about yourself. Become the author of your life. So you're going to start with a book, a notebook, and start writing about yourself, your life, your experiences. And let me just help you a little bit, kickstart that little authoring that's in all of us. We all know our experiences, obviously we do know that. But sometimes when you're sitting there with a book and a pencil, you just don't know where to start. Here's how you can start, and it kind of gets your brain going in the right direction. I think, or this is just a suggestion, that the first page of that book should be just the details about you. Your name, your spouse's name, your immediate family's name, where were you born, your date of birth, the schools you attended. And so that's your first page. Of course, you can add other details about yourself that you want to add, but that's always your first page. What do you do on the second page? The second page, go back to your childhood and think about what's that one memory that you retain in your head for the longest time, your first childhood memory. A short paragraph, write it down. Maybe the first day you went to school, maybe the first day your mother got very mad at you, maybe the first day your father disciplined you. Write it down. Just make sure that these stories are not very long and of course very boring. So make sure they're short and entertaining. Something that somebody would like to read later on. So the first few pages are always about your childhood. The minute you start to go back and think about all these things that have occurred in your life, that author in you will start to kick in. As you move along in your book writing and you've moved through your childhood, what's the next thing that comes in your life? Where you went to school and college. I think that's very important information. Your kids, grandkids, and future generations need to know, or would love to know, where you went to college, what kind of education you had. Did you get any professional education? How did you do in school? I know we always tell our kids that I was the A student, but were you really? Tell the truth, don't make up stories. So this is the key. They would like to know the truth. Make sure that when you write this book, you're telling them the truth. If you didn't do well in school, don't say that you did well in school. This is not a good idea. This book is about yourself, but this book is also an honest story about yourself. Make sure you stay honest. Moving on, here comes another group. How you met your wife and how you fell in love. I think your kids, grandkids, and future generations would love to know about your life story, or love story, I should say. How did you meet your wife? Where did you get married? And what was that experience like? I think your future generations would love to know about how they came about, meaning how you guys got married and how the future generations have started. Spend some time on it. A word of caution here. Don't get mushy, just tell them the details. A few words about your emotions is good, but when you start to get mushy, remember, they're not reading a no romantic novel. They're reading about you. So facts is good, emotions or mushiness. Would you like to read it? Probably not. I think at this time, after you've written all these things, I think this would be a very good place to write down family rituals, holidays, and details of how you spent them. What were some of the rituals and cultural holidays that you guys spent? How did you do certain things? Were there certain rituals that were followed? Were there certain holidays that you guys spent? Did you go to the temple? Did you go to a church? And what kind of prayers, or if any, did you do? I think there should be some detail that you could put in here because they would like to know. They may like to follow some of your traditions. And if you put some detail regarding them, not boring detail, but good detail about them, they may love to know that and pick and choose which ones they want to follow and carry on as traditions. One of the things that I want to say is about immigrant families and multicultural families. I think it's a very good idea to note down how you immigrated or your immigration experience and how you move from one country to another. I think it's also very good for multicultural families to note down how they spent or didn't spend practicing both cultures within the household. I think future generations that keep getting mixed with other cultures, I think the future generations would love to know that. And here's an idea that's really after my own heart. Recipes. Family recipes that may have been carried down from generation to generation. Is there foods or dishes that you make that your mother taught you or your grandmother taught you and that you still make? Maybe those are some dishes that your grandchild loves and enjoys today. This would be a great place to note down that recipe, and maybe they can cook it when they're older and share it with their own families. I think that's a great idea, and I think this is the best place that you could put down that recipe. One of the last things that I could suggest to you is your experience being a grandparent. I think that would be invaluable to them. I think that should be noted in a lot of detail. They would love to read about themselves, the day they were born. How did you feel? Where were you? The day they first came home to your house. How did you feel? What did you do? What was the whole experience like? I think you should spend a lot of detail on that because that book, that little chapter would be about them, your grandchildren, and they would love to read about your experience when they were born. Spend a lot of time on that because that relates to them. And maybe you've never shared that with them. And maybe you have, but as they grow up, they may forget it. Note that down. In fact, it may not be a bad idea if you want to start your book or your notebook with that and say, the day you were born, this happened. And then flashback, just like a movie. Sometimes the movie starts from the end. You could do that too. Now remember, you're the author of the book, so do what you want to do. Write your own book the way you want to do it. This is your life, your book. Remember I said that there's more than one benefit to this. Well, obviously the main benefit is that you've got a little notebook and you're going to pass it on. Just another word. I'm sure there's lots of people out there saying, well, why do I have to write it on a notebook? Why can't I go on a computer and type it out? For the simple reason that 15, 20 years from now, that device or the computer that you may be saving it on may not be compatible or readable. Hence, unless you know what they're going to be reading on, I think it's better to write it in a book and hand it. It would be lovely for them to feel the pages that you wrote on. So maybe that computer isn't such a great idea right now. So coming on to the benefits of why this is such a great benefit. Obviously, you've created a beautiful emotional record for your future generations. But the other benefit is there's a pandemic going on and everybody's stuck at home. Wouldn't this be such a great task to spend your time on? You could sit outside or inside with a cup of coffee and reminisce back to those days and just write your notes. And remember, this is the main benefit is this is a wealth of experience and inheritance that you're leaving, and it's giving you a great pastime. The third benefit that I want to talk about, don't forget I'm an astrologer, so everything has to relate back to astrology. The main benefit that I feel that it also does is writing or authoring a book activates a certain house in a birth chart. The birth chart has 12 houses, and when you author a book, it activates the third house of your birth chart. The third house also denotes or represents siblings, neighbors, communication, your intellect, and short travels. When you do a task that activates a certain house, the other things related to that house also get activated. And hence, you may start having wonderful conversations with your siblings. You may start going on short travels as the pandemic ends. And you also may have a very good relationship with your neighbors. The other thing is the third house looks at your ninth house. And the ninth house is your house of good luck and dharma. And activating that, oh, we all need some good luck right now. So I think it's a wonderful, wonderful life hack, a life idea. And all of us can do it. Now, this isn't just for grandparents, you know. Anybody could start writing their book anytime in their life. Even if you're a new mom, you could still do it right now and write a little page or a little paragraph every day. In writing this book, I do have, as I was thinking about it, I do have a couple of words of caution. Write your book, make it interesting, and the incidents or experiences short. Something that somebody 20 years from now or 15 years from now or even longer from now would like to read about. Don't make things boring. The other thing that you really should, I caution you against is don't give instructions or tell people what to do or guidance. I don't think that's what they're looking for. And the world has changed in 15, 20 years from now. So don't tell people what to do. Just tell them what you did. You know, don't suggest, make suggestions about life. The third is, I think you should keep politics out of it. I don't think you should have radical things that you say about politics. You can mention what's going on in the world, but really, politics, I think, doesn't belong in here. This is about you. Also, I think sexual content should be out of here. I don't think it's a good idea for you to share your sexual experiences in here. I don't think it's a good idea at all, and I'm sure a lot of you would agree. Also, let's keep bad words, discriminatory words, and things like that. Make sure that whatever you write is clean writing, and there's no such thing as racial discrimination, racial slurs, or anything like that. A word of caution. Make sure you do not put any passwords, login information, or confidential information, sensitive information in this book. This is not the place for it. So make sure you don't do that. So make sure you do clean writing, good writing, wonderful, fun writing, and enjoy. Happy writing. I hope you write a wonderful book, and who knows, one of those grandchildren might just publish it. If you've liked my video, please do share it with your friends. Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel so you get notified of the upcoming videos, and goodbye.